Hi there, Adapters and Adapters TechX people. It is great to have you back. Today, we're going to talk about a major events complex in Manchester in the UK, where they have remained relevant over the last 50 years by adapting and innovating. Join me in the conversation with Shaun Hinds, CEO of Manchester Central Events Complex. It's a good one. Hi there, Seán. It is great to have you today. That's a hell of a backdrop. Is that Manchester I see?
No, this is all fake. It's all CGI. Don't believe what you see on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Until that train goes by. I saw the train going by. You're looking great this morning. How's life in Manchester this morning?
It's great. We've had some weather actually in the last couple of days. We've had all of the bright sunshine, and the next minute we've had snow blizzards. But no, it seems to be a little bit more stable today. But no, things are good. And yeah, speaking to you right from the heart of the city of Manchester this morning, and I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me, by the way.
It's fantastic. So look, we're gonna get right into it here. So let's talk about what you're doing today. You are the CEO of Manchester Central. It's right in the heart of everything and drives so much of the business. Can you share the impact and the problem that Manchester Central solves for central Manchester?
Yeah, I'll try. I mean, we're a venue with a lot of history. It was actually a train terminal back in 1880. It opened and was the main link into London. So it's got a history actually of connecting people, and back in those days in the 1880s, it was really in the days of analog and people physically traveling a lot more. It was the hub of connecting Manchester with the rest of the UK and beyond. And today, in 2023, we serve a similar purpose. We're all about connecting people, business, and ideas. And our objective is about creating lasting value. By bringing those things together, we create things and experiences which actually make a difference to people. So as you say, we're right here in the middle of Manchester. Manchester's developing and growing real fast. Anyone that's been to Manchester in recent years will have seen.
And might I add, I've been to a number of your events that are incredible. The auditorium is amazing, and the service was superb. So, I mean, it's a credit to a reflection of what's happening there.
We take our responsibility really seriously, and I take my job as the custodian, if you like, of this facility really seriously. And we're a physical, big, imposing building. We're part of the landscape. We're on every skyline picture that you'll ever see of Manchester. But it's more than that. It's more than that, because it is about what we do for the community and what we do for the business community, in particular in Manchester, for business tourism, for hotels, for shops, for bars, for restaurants, for business.
So on that point, so for every pound that's spent at Manchester Central, what's the multiplier, if you will, in economic terms, for what is generated in the area?
It's about 1 to 6. Every pound that we see in the venue, we see about 6 in the local community. Another interesting stat actually is jobs. For every job that we create directly and employ directly, that relates to about 20 jobs in the wider supply chain and temporary workforce.
You're very important to the stability of these communities, not just
very much so, yeah.
Great events and concerts and conventions, and I know you're a car guy, so I'm sure you have. Do you just make the car things come to you, the exhibitions, because you're such a car and motorbike head?
You know what? We'll talk about this. We'll talk about this maybe, but
on the podcast
coming out of the pandemic. Yeah, coming out of the pandemic and all of the changes that came along with that, we looked at the portfolio of shows that we had, and we started to delve into some different sorts of events. Vehicle shows, bike shows, tattoo shows. We just did a caravan show just last weekend. These are all shows that we wouldn't normally do because we wouldn't normally have the space, but it brings a flavor of what we're about. And I tell you, the amount of people that would come into the venue last weekend to look at caravan and camping and travel, it's extraordinary. And that's part of our purpose, Sean. It's not just about, we do great events, we do great parties, and we do brilliant, insurance conventions. It's about how all of these different communities and all of these interest groups can come together, and Central plays a role in facilitating and enabling that. So for me personally, part of the enrichment of my job and the enrichment that I hope Central brings to Manchester is that diversity. And circumstances have allowed us to do a few more things, a few different things than we would have otherwise normally done. And, as we look ahead, our challenge now is how we kind of try and maintain some of that really good and interesting stuff and blend it with the more traditional events that are coming back to Manchester for various reasons. And it's a judgment question and it's a yielding question, because we would sometimes, we cut a few deals, if I'm honest, as we came out of COVID, because we wanted to get activity and we wanted to get events in the venue that wouldn't otherwise normally come. But as demand returns, and Manchester's so hot right now, as the song goes, we're getting huge
for
inquiries.
Everybody out there, he gets very impassioned. So, I mean, here we go. So I want to make sure that we capture this in our quick hit. And we're going to have this conversation much deeper on the podcast. You've been recognized by your own associations. You're the chairperson of a couple of associations. And we're all about adaptation and innovation on this show. Can you give us some insight? Because clearly you're running an amazing business that affects the community in a positive way. Is now that you're at a broader level, on a national level, what are the challenges moving forward that you're trying to solve at an association level? If you can just give us a quick, punchy, what associations you're with, what they cover, and what are the adaptations and innovations that you're encouraging in the groups?
Well, it can be summed up like this: we've got to influence policy. It's as simple as that. We've got to take our voice, our collective voice, across the areas of the industry that my associations represent.
What associations? Just if you just say, a couple of these.
It's two. It's the Association of Event Venues, which is the largest conference, exhibition, and event venues in the UK. About 50 in the UK is our membership, and then we have our parent organisation, which is the Events Industry Alliance, which also includes the organizer community and the supply chain to the events industry. So the three of us really represent how you get events done, and we represent up to 70 billion of economic value into the UK economy pre-COVID. And so we think we've got a voice that should be heard around government, because we've got a direct connection between how events can influence the economy, how events can influence the prosperity, growth and development of both the country, but also society. And it's that message that we failed to get across pre-COVID. And we are setting our stall out to make sure that voice is heard loud and clear going forward, because there's a job for us to do. We're still in recovery. We're still in growth. We're still in confusion because of things like Brexit and geopolitical uncertainty. And so the role of events, it's really critical that people can connect, not just the practical steps if you go to a conference or you go to a dinner or whatever, but what's the long-term value of that? And why is it important that those events take place in the UK rather than other countries? And I think if we get that right...
That's a great summary. It really is. And, we barely touched this. And so I'm encouraging everybody, you've got to hear the extended conversation with Shaun. We are delighted to have you on as the CEO of Manchester Central. And I'm convinced you're going to be Prime Minister at some point, but that's just me too. So Shaun, thanks a million for that conversation. So just tell us a little bit of tips and takes for our listeners to hear exactly what your view is on adaptation and innovation in the future.
Absolutely. So first of all, your new competitors don't look like you. You've got to cast your net further. You've got to look through the traditional competitor base and find where the next set is coming from. Secondly, it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you and how can they find you. That's more important today, I think, than anything else. And that's simply because it's not about it's the new entrants just do not know you necessarily, and do not take for granted the fact that they might do. And yesterday's certainty is no indicator for tomorrow's reality.
That is the story of your life, because you have been very unpredictable in your career and incredibly successful. So Shaun, thanks for coming on the show. We're delighted to have had you on with these points of wisdom. Please listen to the tips and takes and take advantage of those. We'll see you again on, of course, the extended podcast, and of course, the Adapters and Adapters TechX. So keep looking over the fence. It's great to have you on.